Picture it, comrades, and let the chill of that summer dawn seep into your bones like dew on the endless steppe. It's July 5, 1943, near the village of Prokhorovka, where the horizon blurs into a haze of dust and distant thunder. The Red Army's 5th Guards Tank Army hunkers in wait, their T-34s, those squat, rugged beasts of the motherland, dug in like wolves in their dens, crews sipping from dented flasks of kvass, sharing cigarettes and coarse jokes about the fascist invaders. Young Sergeant Nikolai Ivanov, a tank gunner from the Urals, peers through his periscope, his KV-1 looming beside him. The air hums with tension, but there's a smirk on his lips. Word from scouts, the Germans are rolling out new tanks. Panthers, they call them. Slender, sleek things that look like overgrown sports cars, not the hulking tigers the Soviets know and hate. The Soviets laugh. Oh, they laugh deep and hearty, their voices echoing across the hulls. Niemiecki igrushki, Nikolai spits, slapping his T-34's turret like an old plow horse. To them, it's a farce, a fancy prototype from a Reich desperate to catch up, no match for the T-34's proven grit. They've got the numbers, thousands of T-34s churning from Ural factories, sloped armor that glances shells, a 76mm gun that punches through anything short of a Tiger. That Panther? Too tall, too fragile, they reckon. A paper tiger that'll bog in the mud, overheat in the heat, or shatter under a hail of Soviet fire. Let the fascists play with their toys, a commissar growls, lighting a papyrosa, his eyes hard but his mouth twisted in mirth. Mockery runs thick as the black earth, tales spreading of Panthers stalling on test runs, their complex transmissions grinding to dust. But then, the rumble. A low growl rising to a roar, like the devil's own forge. The Panthers emerge from the haze, Panzer V Ausf-D models, 45 tons of sloped steel, their 75mm KWK-42 guns swinging like scythes. They advance, Maybach engines purring at 700 horsepower, tracks chewing the ground. Nikolai's laugh dies as the first shot cracks. His T-34's front glacis, sloped genius though it is, crumples under a 75mm round at 1,000 meters. The shell penetrates like a hot knife through butter, igniting ammo racks in a bloom of flame. Crews scream, bail, or burn. Laughter turns to chaos, defiance to dread, as Panthers prowl the field, shattering T-34s like tin cans. The steppe runs red with irony and oil, and the Red Army learns a savage truth. This ain't no toy. This is the Panther, the Wehrmacht's revenge, and it's carving the Eastern Front in fire and ruin. Pull up a stool, light a papyrosa, and walk this blood-drenched road with me. This ain't no propaganda reel or bard's told tale. It's history, raw as a winter gale off the dawn, etched in after-action reports, crew diaries, and the twisted wrecks of a war that devoured empires. No gloss, just the cold, hard truth of the Panther tank, the machine that turned Soviet scorn into shattered steel and handed the Reich its deadliest edge.
To fathom that shot, that glacis-piercing crack that broke T-34 spines, you got to roll back to the mud and smoke of 1941 when Operation Barbarossa crashed into the Soviet frontier like a hammer on anvil. It's December near Moscow, and the Wehrmacht's invincible blitz stalls in snowdrifts, their Panzer IIIs and IVs, 40-ton workhorses with 50mm and short-barreled 75mm guns, bouncing off KV-1 heavies and T-34 mediums like pebbles off granite. The T-34, born in Kharkov's tractor factory in '39, is a revelation. 26 tons of sloped armor, 60mm at 60 degrees, effective as 120mm, a Christie suspension that devours rough ground, a 76.2mm F-34 gun that kills at 1,500 meters. Stalin's engineers, drawing from Spanish Civil War lessons and stolen British designs, flood the front with 35,000 by war's end. Simple, rugged, crewed by 4 men who can swap tracks in a field with a hammer and a curse. A T-34 rules off the line every 30 minutes in Chelyabinsk, Tankrograd, where women and boys weld under Stalin's quotas. The Germans reel. A captured T-34 dissected in May 41 near Smolensk horrifies Hitler's tank men. General Heinz Guderian, father of Blitzkrieg, scribbles in his diary, "This changes everything." Panzer IIIs with 30mm armor and 50mm guns are toys against the T-34's sloped hide. Panzer IV's upgun to 75mm KWK-37 need point-blank range to kill. At Ensensk, October 41, T-34s of the 4th Tank Brigade smash Guderian's 2nd Panzer Group, leaving 50 wrecks and German pride in tatters. Stalin rages in Berlin, demanding a counter. The Reich's response is born of desperation and genius. The Panzerkampfwagen V Panther, conceived in November 1941 as a T-34 killer. Daimler-Benz and MAN compete. Blueprints rushed under Hitler's manic eye. MAN wins. Less T-34 copy, more German ambition. The Panther is a 45-ton behemoth, 80mm frontal armor at 55 degrees, effective 140mm, interleaved road wheels for a smooth ride, a 75mm KWK-42L70, long-barreled, high-velocity, firing 6.8 kilograms APC-BC rounds at 930 meters per second, penetrating 192mm at 1,000 meters. A Maybach HL230 V12 engine, 700 horsepower, pushes 28 miles per hour on roads, 15 cross-country. Tracks 660mm wide. Grip, but not like the T-34's 550mm Christie flats.
Production starts in December 42 at MAN's Nuremberg plant, but teething pains plague it. Early Ausf D models rush to war, suffer transmissions fail after 150 kilometers, engines overheat, final drives snap like twigs. Side armor, 40mm, cracks under 76mm hits. A Panther needs 350 man-hours to build, a T-34, 80. The Reich plans 600 a month, hits 200 by mid-43. Soviets catch wind through partisans and wrecks. A prototype, tested in occupied Ukraine 42, bogs in mud. Photos in Pravda mock Hitler's limp dick on tracks. Red Army tankers, bloodied but proud from Rostov and Kharkov, jeer, slender like a virgin, brittle as glass. Their T-34-76, mass-produced, seems invincible. 50,000 by 45, outnumbering Panthers 10-1. Soviet doctrine, deep battle, massed armor, leans on quantity, not finesse. Laughter rings in tank parks from Kursk to Kiev, but a shadow of doubt creeps beneath. November 42, Tunisia, the Panthers' first taste of war. 17 Ausf D shipped to Rommel's Afrika Korps, bolstering the line against Montgomery's 8th Army at Mendinin. Mechanical woes doom them. 5 break down before firing, transmissions seize in desert heat, radiators choke on sand. British Churchills with 152mm armor and American Shermans, nimble at 30 tons, chew through. A Panther commander, Lieutenant Klaus Weber, radios, "unreliable as a whore's promise." 3 survive the battle, knocked out by 6-pounder anti-tank guns. Soviets reading ultra-intercepts via Allies, crow in Moscow's war rooms. Stalin toasts T-34 crews, ignoring whispers of the Panther's gun, a 75mm that outranges their 76mm by a kilometer. Triumph swells, but tankers like Captain Yuri Volkov, 3rd Tank Army, write home, "Their new tank's a dead, but that barrel, it's got reach."
Back east, spring 43, the front stabilizes after Stalingrad's ruin. Panthers trickle in. Sturmpanzer Abteilung 503 tests 12 near Kharkov. April 10, a skirmish at Izium. 3 Panthers ambush a T-34 platoon of the 22nd Tank Corps. At 1,200 meters, the KWK-42 fires. 2 T-34s brew up, turrets blown skyward, their 76mm guns silent. A Soviet Su-85 with an 85mm D5T flanks, piercing a Panther's 40mm side at 800 meters. The German crew bails, captured. Interrogators laugh. "Fancy gun, but your tank's a diva, needs a mechanic's kiss."
The Panther's transmission, with 800 parts, fails twice as often as a T-34's 200-part gearbox. Emotions tangle. German frustration boils. Mechanics curse in muddy depots, while Soviet confidence peaks. Though tankers like Lieutenant Alexei Petrov scribble, they hit hard, but we hit harder and more. July 5, 1943. Operation Citadel, the greatest tank battle in history. Kursk salient, a bulge in the front, bristles with 6,000 tanks, 2 million men, 4,000 planes. Hitler stakes everything. 200 Panthers, spearhead of Army Group South, rolled toward Ponary and Prokhorovka. Early woes hit hard. 50% breakdown rate, track snap, engine seize in July heat. A Panther needs 1,000 liters of fuel for 100 kilometers. T-34s sip 500. But those that fight? Demons on tracks. At Hill 239 near Ponary, a Panther platoon of the 10th Panzer Brigade shreds a T-34 company. KWK-42s punching through 60mm glacis at 2,000 meters, while T-34 ZIS-3s need 500 meters to kill. Sergeant Ivan Sokolov, 29th Tank Corps, witnesses, "We laughed at their tall boys, easy targets, too pretty. Then they fired and my friend's T-34 vanished in flame. The shell screamed like judgment, faster than our guns could answer." The Panther's TZE-F1 optics, 2.5x zoom, spot hull-down targets. T-34 gunners squint through 1.5x sights, firing blind past 1,000 meters.
July 12. Prokhorovka, a cauldron of steel. Rotmistrov's 5th Guards Tank Army, 1,000 T-34s, charges like Cossacks, dust choking the air. Panthers of Grossdeutschland Division hold firm, haul down on ridges. Oberfeldwebel Ernst Barkmann, a Panther ace, claims 10 kills, his interleaved wheels dodging return fire. T-34 is close to 300 meters, ramming in desperation, but Panther side armor, now 50 millimeters in spots, holds against 76 millimeters AP. A T-34's shot glances, the Ku K-42 doesn't miss, brewing up 5 in minutes. By dusk, 400 Soviet tanks burn, 300,000 liters of fuel gone. Panthers lose 30, but inflict triple. Emotions crash like shellfire. Soviet grief is raw, crews roast alive, wives wail in Voronezh. German pride surges, but losses sting. Barkmann diaries, "We shattered their steel hearts, but the steppe drank our blood too." Kursk ends in Soviet victory. Attrition bleeds the Wehrmacht dry, but Panthers tip local scales, killing 1,500 T-34s. Stalin fumes in Moscow, slamming a fist. Upgrade the 85 millimeters, now. Fall 43, the Panther evolves. Ausf A models drop early flaws. Snorkels for river fording, better cooling vents, reinforced final drives. Production hits 1,700 by year's end, but never matches Soviet output. The T-34-85 debuts, its 85mm ZIS S-53 gun penetrating 91mm at 1,000 meters, rivaling the Panther's front. At the Dnieper, September 43, Panthers of 5th SS Panzer Division Wiking counterattack Soviet bridgeheads. A T-34-85 platoon crosses at Bukrin, but 3 Panthers ambush from 1,500 meters, brewing up 6. Major Dmitry Volkov, 1st Guards Tank Army, recounts, "We mocked their long guns, overhyped," he said. Then one round gutted 3 tanks. Laughter turned to curses. Soviet numbers, 12,000 T-34s and 43, overwhelm, but Panther kills haunt. Emotions deepen. Soviet tankers, once invincible, feel vulnerability. Letters home beg for thicker armor. Germans, buoyed, overextend. Panthers bog in mud. 40% fail mechanically. A crewman, Hans Müller, writes, "She's a lady, beautiful, deadly, but needs a nursemaid."
Winter 43-44, the front freezes. Rasputitsa mud turns to ice, but Panthers with narrow 660mm tracks slip where T-34's 550mm Christie flats glide. At Korsun Pocket, January 44, Panthers of 1st Panzer Army encircle 60,000 Soviets, but Soviet IS-2 heavies, 122mm guns, 120mm armor, flank, brewing up Aus-A with APCR rounds at 1,000 meters. Private Lena Petrova, a T-34 loader, notes, "They scared us at Kursk. Now we hunt them in snow, their tracks spinning like a drunk's dance." Losses mount. 200 Panthers to breakdowns as much as shells. Emotions shift. German despair creeps, mechanics weeping over seized gears. Soviet resolve hardens, laced with sorrow for frozen comrades. A tanker's letter found near Cherkasy. "I saw a Panther burn. Felt like victory, but my brother's tank burned too." June 44, Operation Bagration, the Soviet juggernaut. 2.3 million men, 5,000 tanks, 6,000 planes smash Army Group Center. Panthers of 4th Panzer Army fight rear guard, but Soviet T-34 85s and IS-2s swarm, 20,000 tanks total. Near Minsk, a Panther company loses 80% to ambushes, their 75mm guns outranged by IS-2s at 1,500 meters. Oberlieutenant Hans Keller bails, captured. "We shattered T-34s once. Now they shatter us." Luftwaffe's support, gone. Fuel, scarce. Soviet triumph is bitter, 1.2 million dead since 41. A T-34 commander, Alexei Ivanov, writes, "Their Panther was a killer, but our numbers were death itself."
44-45, the Panther retreats. Ausf G models with shorts and skirts against shaped charges shine in spots. 50mm side armor now, 100mm turret face, but only 1,000 remain by Berlin. At Vistula Oder, January 45, Panthers delay Soviet spearheads, but T-34 85s, now 60,000 strong, roll over. Silo Heights, April 45, a Panther duels street to street, killing 3 T-34s before an IS-2's 122mm ends it. Berlin's Zoo Tower, the final stand. Panthers fight amid rubble, outgunned, outnumbered. A Red Army private, Maria Kuznetsova, recalls, "Their tanks were ghosts, firing till the end. We pitied them, almost." The human toll cuts deep. Panther crews, 5 men, tight as brothers, lived in steel coffins. Gunnar Karl Heinz, 2nd SS Panzer, diaries, "First kill felt like God, 100th, just hollow." Soviet loader Lena Petrova, "We laughed till Prokhorovka. Then I held a dying friend, his face black from fire." 300,000 tankers dead, Soviet, German, by 45. Diaries pile in archives. A Soviet boy begs his mother's forgiveness for deserting under Panther fire. A German loader mourns a commander incinerated at Kursk. The Panthers KWK-42 outranged T-34's F-34, 2,000 meters versus 1,500 meters. Its sloped armor bounced 76mm shots past 800 meters. But complexity, 800 transmission parts versus T-34's 200, doomed it. A Panther took 350 man-hours to build. A T-34, 80. Soviets churned 1,000 tanks a month. Germany, 200 Panthers.
Post-war, Panthers rust in scrapyards, their designs seeding the Leopard 1, influencing Soviet T-62s. The T-34, enshrined in Red Square, wins the myth. But the Panther's shadow lingers. 6,000 built, 20,000 T-34s killed. A Soviet general, post-war, muses, "We mocked their toy. It cost us rivers of blood." German tankers, in exile, study its flaws. Too complex, too late. The lesson: innovation without reliability loses wars. Underestimation's tax, paid in graves, scars the steppe. Here's the truth, comrades. The Soviets laughed at the Panther till it shattered their T-34s. A machine of vengeance, of steel and sorrow, it roared through history's meat grinder. Honor the crews, visit the tank museums, read their diaries, keep their fire alive. Rest easy, tankers, your tracks still rumble.
And yet, comrades, beyond the numbers and steel, the Panther tells a darker tale, the war of endurance, not brilliance. At Kursk, its debut bled with mechanical failures. At Warsaw, its firepower struck fear. At Berlin, its last shells echoed like dying thunder. German designers had crafted a predator, but in a war of attrition, predators starve when prey is endless. The Soviets answered not with finesse, but with scale. The T-34-85, crude yet relentless, rolling off factory lines as fast as lives could be spent. It was not just a clash of tanks, but of systems, the Reich's precision against the USSR's industry, the engineer's dream against the worker's hammer. In the archives, voices remain. A Panther commander writing to his wife in February '45. Every day fewer of us return. I polish the optics as if it were prayer, knowing one hit may blind us forever. A Soviet tanker after Selah Heights. We broke them with weight, not courage. I saw Panthers burning, and still I shivered. The Panther's silhouette still stands in museums, in Bovington, Saumer, Kubinka, mute yet loud in memory. Children climb its hull, tourists take photos, yet the steel is heavy with ghosts. Each dent, each weld, whispers of crews who fought to the last in cities they'd never return from. History judges machines by victory, but remembers men by sacrifice. The T-34 became a monument, a symbol of triumph. The Panther became a lesson, a warning etched in iron. Brilliance cannot outrun inevitability. And still, when engines roar at reenactments, when collectors start their restored Maybachs, for a moment, the Panther lives again. Not as a weapon, but as a reminder. So let us honor them, not only the victors, but the vanquished, not just the tanks, but the men inside them. The war ground their youth into dust, yet their words endure. In every archive, in every rusting hull, the truth is carved. Steel may win battles, but only people endure wars. Rest now, tankers, German, Soviet, all. Your struggle, your fire, still rumbles across the steppe.